He stood under the midday sun, his steps routine, until a sudden silhouette made him freeze. A scruffy dog perching on trembling hind legs, paws clasped together like a plea. Her once golden fur lay dulled under crusts of dust and grime, every hair matted in hardship. She didn't bark or whine, she held him in her dark, beseeching gaze. Compelled by that silent entreaty, he moved closer, his heartbeat echoing in his ears. When she led him onward, he followed, unaware that mere yards ahead lay 3 tiny forms ensnared in poison. Their desperate eyes unveiled a rescue he couldn't ignore. Harold had walked this path every morning for decades. The gravel crunched beneath his boots as the rising sun brushed warm fingers across weathered fences and wildflowers. He always paused at the old water pump, its iron handle polished smooth by countless visits, to fill his jug and splash cool water on his sunburned face. After that, he carried a cup back to the patch of ground beside his wife's grave, nurturing the fragile blooms she had once loved. Today, though, jolts of worry rippled through him. This plea in fur and whiskers shattered the quiet comfort of his routine. He hesitated at the pump, eyes locked on the dog's pleading stance. The morning air, usually tinged with dew and promise, felt tense. He lifted his hand, half expecting her to bolt, but she stayed unwavering. With a gentle heave, he worked the handle. Cold water gushed, sloshing in the jug. The dog glanced at the stream but turned away, prompting him with a tilt of her head. Curiosity gnawed at him. Whatever she wanted, he knew it wasn't water for herself. He slung the jug over his shoulder and stepped off the path, following her down a narrow dirt trail flanked by tall grass. Each footstep amplified the silence until only the rhythmic thump of his boots remained. The dog occasionally looked back, eyes bright with urgency, urging him onward. Memories flickered. His youthful days on this land, dreams of a quiet retirement, the ache of losing his lifelong partner only a year ago. He hadn't expected adventure now. Yet there she went, guiding him towards something dark and unseen, her silhouette a beacon against the pale morning light. They arrived at an abandoned lot where rusted farm tools lay scattered and a collapsed concrete slab sealed a shallow dip. Thick black liquid oozed from a broken pipe above, staining the earth. His heart sank. He knelt, heart thudding, and pushed at the slab. It shifted with a groan, revealing 3 tiny bodies curled in a grim pool. Their fur was caked in sludge. Their eyes fluttered in silent agony. One pup whimpered, a sound so fragile it could have been mistaken for the breeze. Without hesitation, Harold tipped his jug and splashed clear water over the nearest puppy. The muck peeled away in dark ribbons, revealing trembling skin and spots of fur. He scooped the pup into his arms and bundled it against his chest. The mother dog hovered close, her ears low, tail stiff, offering a glance of gratitude. Harold's chest tightened as he washed each puppy in turn, his rag soaked crimson and black. He murmured soothing words, feeling their tiny hearts hammer against his palm. When the pups were clean, he stood, balancing all 3 in his arms. The mother dog backed up, still on guard, before she gave a single nod, urging him to lead the way. He hoisted his jug and turned. She padded beside him as they retraced their steps in companionable silence. The sun climbed higher, warming the day and lending soft light to the trembling family. Every so often, a pup stirred, searching for warmth. Harold shushed them gently, reminding himself that they were safe now. Back at his porch, he cleared space beneath the overhang. He lined the rough boards with old towels, warmed milk on the stove, and arranged a shallow bowl. The puppies, exhausted from trauma and cold, drank with small eager gulps. The mother curled around them protectively, her head resting on her paws as she watched. Harold knelt and brushed the last of the muck from her fur, careful to meet her gaze. In those deep brown eyes, he saw relief and something more, unbreakable trust. As afternoon drifted into evening, quiet home sounds returned. Soft paws tapped on wooden floors and faint squeaks of contentment filled the air. Outside, the horizon glowed with pink and gold, and the wind whispered through the fields. Harold sat on the edge of his porch, the family nestled at his feet, and let a slow smile spread across his face. This house, once echoing only with memories of loss, now thrummed with new life and hope. That night, he wandered to his wife's favourite spot where the wildflowers had begun to bloom again. He knelt, hands warm from holding the pups, and placed a single blossom on the ground. He whispered a promise that this land, scarred by neglect and poison, could heal too. And as he turned toward the light in his home flickering through the window, It occurred to him that sometimes rescue finds you when you least expect it, guided by a silent plea and an unwavering heart. Before dawn broke the next day, Harold sat by the pump once more. The scruffy dog lay curled at his feet, 3 puppies nestled against her belly. He filled 2 jugs with water, lifting one for himself and one for the tiny family. Together they rose on trembling legs. One by one, they followed him back to the timid blooms by his wife's grave. He poured water over the soil, the flowers drinking greedily, their petals bright against the dark earth. The dog stood beside him, tail wagging softly as if understanding the ritual. In that gentle morning light, Harold realized that compassion is its own kind of courage. He had set out for a familiar routine, but returned with a new calling: to protect those who cannot speak, to tend to wounds both old and fresh, and to remind the world that every life matters. And so he walked the path again, not alone, but accompanied by a family he never expected, bound together by a silent plea and the strength of a single brave heart. As days turned into weeks, the makeshift family settled into a rhythm both tender and astonishing. Every morning Harold rose before dawn, his boots echoing softly across the dewy porch. The puppies, now plumper and more confident, scurried in circles as he fetched their warmed milk. The mother dog greeted him with a wagging tail and gentle nudge, as if offering silent thanks. After feeding, he gathered water from the pump, now fitted with a small filter he'd fashioned, and led the family back to the graveside blooms. Each paw nourished not only the flowers, but the fragile threads of new life weaving through Harold's heart. Word of the rescue spread through the farming town like a welcome breeze. Neighbours peeked over fences, eyes wide with awe at the mother's devotion and Harold's kindness. Soon offers came. A retired nurse brought antiseptic ointment. The local vet volunteered to check the pups, ensuring no lasting harm from the toxic sludge. Even the mayor, intrigued by the story, arranged for environmental inspectors to investigate the broken pipe and chemical runoff. In a place where routine had reigned unchallenged, a single act of compassion had ignited community resolve. Inside Harold's home, laughter and soft barks filled the once quiet halls. The puppies, now chasing one another under the warm glow of lamplight, tumbled over each other in play. The mother watched, ears perked, her eyes reflecting trust and relief. Harold often found himself pausing mid-task, watching them with a gentle smile, marveling at how much joy could spring from desperate beginnings. He repaired the broken fence around the yard, erecting a sturdy pen to keep them safe, and collected discarded blankets and towels to cushion their naps. Evenings brought reflection as the sky blushed pink and gold. Harold sat on the porch with a cup of tea, the mother dog curled at his feet. He thought of his wife's laughter in spring breezes and felt her presence in the song of crickets. The world beyond his farm had changed too. Where once apathy ruled, concern and action now thrived. The looming threat of polluted water had been exposed, and neighbours joined forces to clean the creek that wound past their fields. Every hand that lifted debris or planted new saplings served as a testament to what one small plea could accomplish. In those quiet moments, Harold understood that heroism is not measured in grand gestures, but in the steady courage to answer a single cry for help. The dog's silent prayer had pointed him toward purpose, binding his fate to a family of paws and trusting hearts. And as the night deepened, he whispered a promise into the stars that he would stand guard over this patch of earth, this fragile bloom of life, for as long as breath remained in his lungs. For in rescue he had discovered redemption, and in redemption the truest form of love.